is just speaking about an issue going to make a difference? Hello, this is Dr. Jeff Kim, and this is actually an assignment that one of my daughters turned in her history class to talk and learn more about propaganda. But the more I looked at it, I thought, wow, this is like a soapbox speech, or in other words, a speech on a topic that you are passionate about. And with May being Mental Health Month, I'm so glad that my daughter chose this topic to bring awareness to, and another great example to talk about the power of student voice, choice, and then taking compassionate action. So in this piece of artwork that she made, I believe she drew it herself, she reports how 1 in 5 adolescents report symptoms of anxiety or depression. And I think it's actually much higher than that, maybe because it's unreported. If I were to ask you, do you know somebody that is struggling with their mental health? I bet many of you would go like, yeah, I do know somebody. So it's something that we know that is happening in many places, and whatever we could do to bring awareness. And even though we are aware, there's so much stigma oftentimes still attached to mental health. This is a piece of artwork that was made that shows that statistics, but kind of the loneliness a person might feel, the isolation, despite the fact that many might be going through it. But before I talk more about this, I just want to share how this reminds me of many years ago when I did a lesson with my students and asked them, what kind of issue would you want to learn about and do something about? And it very much surprised me that the majority of students, and this was before the pandemic, before 2020, wanted to address, and this is at the middle school level, great feelings of hopelessness and sadness. And so we kind of went through the process. I didn't choose the topic, they chose the topic. And once again, that's oftentimes how it works in our schools, where students identify a topic that they care about, and then the teacher supports them, whatever topic that is. And so in this case, the collective topic for the class, my class that we were addressing, and at that time, we were looking at hopelessness and sadness, looking at the California Kids data of our own site, and saw 32% of students had felt that at some point during that school year. So the symptoms oftentimes, and as educators, you probably will run across some students who are, displaying a low self-confidence, anger, isolation, looking stressed, depressed. Those are the symptoms of hopelessness and sadness, but what are some of the root causes? And so what my class did was they did a root cause analysis to kind of look at what might be causing some of these, that hopelessness and sadness. Because if you address the root causes, maybe that would help with addressing the issue itself rather than just the symptoms. And so what the students ended up doing is they ended up creating these campaigns around topics. So rather than a normal open house where we just showed what we did in history, the students actually had a mental health fair that open house, and they gave information and resources around topics related to mental health. Where do you begin? If you've seen my video on soapbox speeches, then you know that I have some sentence starters that oftentimes help with identifying and being able to talk about topics. Today, I'm here to talk to you about, so it could be mental health issues, right? The reason why it's such a big problem is, imagine a world where, but we have lots of tools that we can use to work on this issue. I need you to. So I'm not saying this is the award-winning soapbox speech, but it's 5 sentences to get you started really quickly. And so even within one class period, a person, if they identify the issue, could probably have a draft speech ready to go. And then of course, they get the opportunity to practice. So although that's the beginning, it's not the end. And you add in some different analogies and some rhetoric and some empathy and some compassion. And also we talk about using our public voice, our PV legs. PV legs is an acronym for public speaking, having the correct poise, voice, life, eye contact, gestures, and speed. So give you multiple opportunities to practice and use their PV legs, while the person who's listening is using their slant, sitting up, leaning forward, attention, nodding their head, tracking their person. Both are important, valuable communication skills. So just as speaking is important, I think listening is also very important as well. So finally, getting back to the student work that one of my daughters created, I'm so glad that she was able to identify an issue that she cared about, and then talk about it, and also be assigned this kind of work in a school setting. where she could identify once again an issue that she cared about and then to talk about it. I think oftentimes this isn't happening enough. If I were to go to a school and ask, "Hey, what's something that you care about?" I hope the answer that I get is not um, nothing or I don't know. I hope they could say, "Hey, I've had multiple opportunities to kind of think about a variety of issues. This is something I care about. I also care about this. I care about this. This is my thoughts about this." And maybe some of us are wondering, is just speaking about an issue going to make a difference? First of all, I think this would make a difference with the data and the phone number, but would it make a difference beyond that? And I think the answer to that is yes, because when students use their voice, it not only is speaking out what you know, but the actual act of speaking itself creates a greater sense of agency, this feeling like I can do something about the situation. So as I thought about my daughter making this and then kind of doing the drawings and thinking about the person and the feelings that the person might be going through and the phone number, I wondered if she would be growing in her empathy. I wondered if she would be growing in her compassion for others. I wondered if she would be growing in her agency. I thank my daughter for letting me share this as a way, as a practice that could be beneficial for students in schools and also, I think, beyond schools.